So Rochdale 13 here with Alan Kilshaw after a 42-28 win over Keighley Cougars. We were back at Spotland for the first time in 6 weeks. How did it feel to get out on that pitch for the win there?
Yeah, good. I think a few of the boys hadn't seen how good the pitch was, and obviously had a lot of new signings last year, so they might have played here for other teams, but to get out here and just be home comforts and not have to leave at 8:30 in the morning to play a game and travel, just little things like that give us an advantage, and I thought we took that, early on we really took advantage of it, and I was pleased with the way we started the game. Yeah.
That first half was as good as we've probably seen this season. We were 26-6 up at the break. What happened in that second 40 then?
Yeah, I was disappointed that they'd scored 6 in the first half, and I thought maybe we could have scored a few more, and we just turned a little bit too much ball over and gave them some penalties, back end of that first half, I think after about 30 minutes, and give them some momentum. I thought we defended really well before then. Every time they got in, our half was off the back of penalties or our errors, and we defended well, but you can't keep turning ball over cheap. And second half was, it was disappointing, but we lost some bodies. We had back rows defending in the centre. Danny was out on the wing in defence and at full back in attack. Mosley had to slot in at half because we lost Dale. So to lose 2 backs in a game is pretty unusual, and we didn't cope with that. And we spoke about that after the game, that sometimes you have to adjust your play or your defensive structures and shape, or sometimes you've got to be able to manage that personally. And if you're out of position, it's a simple game. It usually comes down to a one-on-one tackle, and I thought our tackling and our technique really dropped off second half. They're a quality team, and you give them ball, they'll do that to you, and they'll score points, and that's what they did. And there's a little bit of panic there in that last 10 minutes, I think, from us, and we didn't feel a couple of short kick-offs. We're usually good on those offensively, but we'll have to have a look at that again defensively this week. And then, like I say, but we came through the other end and we got the points, and that was the main thing today.
You mentioned running out of bodies there. Dave Cookson didn't make out for the second half, and Dale Bloomfield didn't make much of the second half, coming off injured. Are they serious knocks?
Look, Dave's just had an ongoing shoulder problem, which he's had that injection, and it was just probably precaution more than anything. He got a bit of a stinger, and he didn't have much feeling in it, some pins and needles. He'll be right next week. I think if it was a final or the game was on the line, he probably would have gone out in the second half. Dale, there's every chance Dale will get a one-game ban next week for the scuffle at Hemel last week in the 80th minute, throwing a punch. So he probably won't play next week anyway. With 2 weeks, hoping it's just a bit of a strain. Dale was going really well as well, and he was enjoying it, and he did some good reads defensively. So it was disappointing to lose him, and you could tell they attacked that edge when he went off. So like I say, we were down on bodies a little bit, and some guys had to do it tough, and we just managed to get there.
There were some changes this week to the team. Obviously some were forced, and some you had to make some calls. Wayne came back into the team, and you had Lewis Galbraith and Corey Lee missing out. Was that a tough decision for you to make?
Yeah, look, Wayne came back in. We spoke to him the other week. He had a couple of areas in his game that we wanted him to focus on, and I thought he came back and did really well. And Wayne was disappointed to be left out, and he probably feels that he shouldn't have been left out. But I thought he came back today and was really strong, and his energy and enthusiasm was good at times, and got us over the line a couple of times with his try, and the last play where he just forced a bit of pressure on their winger, and I think we ended up scoring then. It was a tough call because Corey went well last week, and the call there whether to put him in the backs this week, and he just wasn't as cut and dry. And Corey's really improving, and he'll get another opportunity. With Lewis, we just felt he's a little bit out of form, and he's got some areas to work on, and there's every chance he'll get an opportunity next week, and hopefully he'll come back, and we will do him some good to focus on those areas, and he'll come back with a big performance next week. Lewis was really good in pre-season, and he's probably not hit the heights of those performances since he broke his hand, but like I say, we're hoping that it just gives him a nudge being out this week, and he comes back and performs really well against Doncaster.
I just want to talk about Joe Tyer's performance in the middle there. At the start of the season, you could tell that in making the step up from amateur, there was still a few things in his game that he needed to iron out, but in the middle today he was explosive and he came up with some big plays that ended up in scoring some tries there.
Yeah, mate, he's been outstanding. He's been one of our most improved players, and the plan was always to get him in the middle. We started with him on the edges for a couple of reasons. One, because we didn't have many centres at the start of the year, but just to get him used to the pace and let him learn the plays and what we want from a middle player. And the disappointing thing was his ban. He played really well, you know, against Widnes and then Toulouse, and then we missed him. And I thought he was outstanding at Newcastle. He was good last week, but you know he's gone to a new level today. He does everything at 100 miles an hour, and even when he just half hits people, you know, you can tell that he hurts him. He hurt a couple today, and he come up with a massive play after half time when he drove that player back for the dropout, and we scored. And it was probably game over at that point. You know, it was probably too many points for them to claw back, and you know he come up with some of the big plays, and you know we're really impressed with him at the minute. And the teams will be learning about him, and they'll see him as a target as well. And Joe's got to make sure he keeps his discipline and he manages that. But yeah, outstanding. And you know there was some big performance today from our forwards, and I thought he led the way.
And I just want to end on looking forward to next week. You've got Doncaster. How important will it be going into that game off the back of a tough game here against Keighley, rather than playing someone at the bottom end of the table, for instance?
Yeah, two similar teams, you know, in the way they play, and they play hard, and they've got some skill and some good players in the back. So, you know, you could look at it and say it's a dead rubber. We was probably, you know, in third now or second, but the points will carry over, and it'll be an important game, and we have to play them again, and probably have to play them again here at home if I'm right, because I think they'll finish, you know, third or fourth. So we've got to make sure that we turn up ready to play and play for 80 minutes. And I've probably said that to you a few times now this season. You know, as good as we were for 30-35 minutes today, we need to be good for the full 80, and hopefully we won't face that adversity we faced today with players down. But if we do, we need to adapt better and turn up with a better complete performance. And if we do that, you know, we won't be far away.
Thanks, Alan.